And I really invite Gwenole to join us on the stage and say a few words about these new challenges.
Because of the war, because of the pandemic, we've seen disruption in the supply chains. We've seen now prices that increase, not only for energy, but also for raw materials and construction products. And this all has been testing our economy's resilience. At the same time, we have pressures that have not disappeared, like climate change and the need to care about our environment. So if you see those three elements, climate change, then the Green Deal is a translation of that, the twin transition with digitalization as well, the effects in pandemic, and now the Russian aggression against Ukraine. We have a lot to deal with. So let me first say a word about an initiative we launched over the last few months, the transition pathways. It's clear that construction, like other ecosystems, needs to undergo transition to be more green, to be more digital, to be more resilient. We also often speak of transition, and actually it's a triple transition because resilience has come up to the agenda more and more. It's a challenge. I would say as well, we have to look at it also as an opportunity. It will be the occasion to modernize industry, to improve its productivity, and it will also be an occasion to provide new job opportunities. While at the same time, we hope that to be able to reduce our environmental impact and our dependency in areas which could prove detrimental as far as dependency to third countries are concerned. And in order to do all this, we want to do it with you. I mean, the Commission officials in their offices don't have the revealed truth. So we've been asked during the pandemic to keep the windows open, intend to keep the doors open as well, now that we're authorized to have to receive you again in our buildings, which was not the case over a few months. If we want to make it a success, we need to work together. We also need to demonstrate the business case in all this transition so that you're successful, and by being successful, you help us achieving these policy objectives. And this is why, in line with the industrial strategy, back in 2020, we adopted a new industrial strategy, which we updated 1 year later, last year. We are now developing transition pathways across the industrial ecosystems, and construction is, of course, one of the first priorities, since we actually only issued one on tourism, and you're the second one we are attacking. We're co-creating the transition pathways for construction in partnership with you, business and industry, but also with public authorities, social partners, and other stakeholders. And I'm happy to see that you're absolutely fully part of in that work. So thank you, and please continue. We need a clear understanding of the scale, of the cost, of long-term benefits, and of the conditions that would be necessary for the transition to take place, so that we can come together to an actionable plan. We can already see that a renovation of European buildings will be prominent in the transition pathway. In fact, most of the buildings that will be standing in 2050 have already been built. So which explains why renovation is actually a key issue. Over 3/4 of them are inefficient as far as energy is concerned, and they need to be renovated. But we need also to do this very quickly because climate doesn't wait for us. By 2030, Europe will need to have renovated 35 million building units. Around 275 billion euros of investment will be needed every year in order to do that, and we will need to carry on through to 2050. For the construction of ecosystem, of course, renovation is one of the great practical challenges that we'll have to face, but it's also a fantastic opportunity. Just to give you a figure, the renovation wave can, according to Commission colleagues' estimates, generate 160,000 extra jobs. It's the renovation wave also highlights the importance of using sustainable building methods. We understand the importance of using comprehensive life cycle approach for construction. And for example, construction and demolition waste needs to be sorted out and handled in a circular way. And we'll have to deal, of course, with the building stock that was conceived without really sustainability preoccupations, but also we'll have to handle what we do with new buildings from that point of view. Tristan mentioned the construction products revision, construction products regulation revision proposal. I won't lie, it's been a difficult process to arrive there. I do not pretend that we've developed a magical solution, but we hope it will improve the things, and we're of course more than willing to have your suggestions, comments, and so on in that context. Discussions will start in the next few weeks in the Council, in the Parliament. So we are in there for, I imagine, a process which will require some time, and of course entry into force of the revised proposal in the form in which it will be adopted will take place in a few years. But let's come back to where we came from when thinking of that revision. We spend around 90% of our time in buildings. Therefore, they must be safe, they must be healthy, they must be sustainable. And that's the reason why we want to make it easier for the best construction products to circulate across the single market. We also want to promote circular economy, so circular reuse, circular remanufacturing, supporting new business models as well as EU's resilience. And of course, we want to fix what has been identified as the failures, the weaknesses of the present regulatory framework, standardization being the most obvious one, and the difficulties we've got with standards for construction products. So on the 30th of March, the Commission adopted the proposal. We want to have clearer rules with better standards, offering digital solutions for the building industry and the market in order to enhance the overall quality of the European built environment. We hope that construction products will be able to circulate more freely within the single market because improved solutions will be available for standards and market surveillance. And we hope with a better functioning single market, we hope that way that construction companies will access a greater, broader choice of products and more information on them, including on their environmental performances, to allow them to make informed decisions. Digital solutions will reduce the administrative burden on costs for member states authorities and for economic operators, in particular SMEs. And there we also gave a special attention to micro-enterprises. The Commission foresees also setting up a construction products database or system in order to collect and make available information on performance and product requirements, working with the digital product passport. That's also the connection we have with another initiative that concerns sustainability, the sustainable product policy or sustainable product instrument. In addition, new business models stemming from digital innovations like 3D printing are also taken into account in the proposal because we know that this type of regulatory framework is going to last for a while, and we wanted to anticipate as well, even if at the moment one might consider it's not a real challenge, but we want to prepare the conditions for the years to come. When we talk about sustainable construction, as I mentioned, the construction products regulation is not the whole story. As you know, there's of course the Sustainable Products Initiative, but we also developed levels, common European approach to measure and report on the sustainability of buildings. We encourage industry to make use of it. For example, levels provide a way to measure life cycle greenhouse gas emissions. The Energy Performance of Buildings Directive that actually has also been subject to a proposal for amendment that is now being discussed in co-decision. We will make it plans to make it mandatory for new constructions to declare their life cycle emissions using levels. And the construction products regulation will will have to ensure that this data is available. So you see the connection. That's basically what we always try to do with colleagues in charge of other pieces of legislation. One of the best ways to reduce life cycle emissions in construction is, of course, to embrace the circular economy principles. And we published guidance on circular economy principles for buildings designed 2 years ago in 2020. Guidance that actually was prepared jointly with you, industry, and with member states. Circular construction needs data right across the life cycle, and this is also why the Commission has been developing a European approach to digital buildings logbooks. We act as a focal point for data. Logbooks have the potential to improve decision-making and resource efficiency throughout the life cycle of buildings. With all what I mentioned, you might have noticed that there's an element that will be necessary, skills. The COVID crisis has shown that companies pursuing sustainability and digitalization are more likely to succeed. This requires the development of new and upgraded skills. And this is why we launched the Pact for Skills, which brings together companies, regional and cross-sectoral partnerships. The Pact for Skills promotes a culture of lifelong learning and helps anticipating future needs as far as skills are concerned. In February 2022, so a bit earlier this year, a skills partnership for construction was launched by industry associations with our support. And the ambition is to upskill or reskill at least 25% of the construction workforce in the next 5 years to reach the target of 3 million people who will have been through that process. We support member states to ensure that all these elements, skills, digitalization, resource efficiency, are included in their national recovery and resilience plan. You know that the Commission made available 750 billion euros as a resilience recovery plan, of which, by the way, a minimum of 37% should be spent on green expenditures, and a minimum of 20% should be spent on digitalization expenditures. So that gives you as well the link with the priorities we want to identify. And the idea there is we would like to emerge out of the pandemic, because that was conceived post-pandemic and before Ukraine. But we want to emerge post-pandemic, not exactly in the same shape as we were before pandemic, but in a better shape, more ready for the future. It's a big opportunity for you. It's a big opportunity for construction ecosystem as a whole, since most member states include support for innovation in their plans. And actually, when you look at how they constructed their national plans, construction is actually, I wouldn't say well served, because as industry, you would never consider that it's enough, but I mean, the share of construction is quite important in most member states. We will continue to support research and innovation for digitally powered resource-efficient construction. For example, under Horizon Europe, we've created an ambitious public-private partnership for a sustainable built environment. It's called Build for People Partnership. And the aim, of course, is to ensure greater integration, better integration of the whole value chain, including planners and architects, builders, engineers, as well as public authorities. So, I don't want to waste your time too much, because you've got plenty of very important things to discuss, but perhaps let me conclude with one thought. I think it's essential, given the challenges we face, given the improvements we all want collectively to make, and I think the objectives are common. So from that point of view, we've got a solid base. But we all need to work together if we want to succeed and to deliver on our ambition, be it the Commission, be it member states, be it industry, and be it other stakeholders. We want a modern and a competitive European industry. We don't want the industry to be only green. We want it to be green and competitive and digital. And we basically are conscious that construction will be essential if we want to have a green, a digital, and a resilient European economy. So basically, let's work together. There will be plenty of things to do in common. And I'm sure there will be criticisms to us, because anyway, a commercial official is always used to it. That's part of our life, if it's not to say that it's most of our life. But we'll try to do the best together with you. Thank you.